Hey, welcome to Ben's OP Game Show. We're live at 3 p.m. Pacific Time every Friday, right here on twitch.tv/thegamefanatics. I'm clearly Ben, that's part of the title. And I might be moving the show a little bit. That doesn't matter right now to really anyone. Not a lot of people watch live, but I am probably going to be moving the show a couple hours later. Who knows? Who cares? No one. On this week's show, we're going to talk about all the PlayStation Pro announcements, hullabaloo, and what have you. And also reviewing Fallout 4's Nuka-World DLC. But first, let's take a look at some of the top stories of the week. Now, this week in news obviously dominated by the PlayStation Pro, and I have sectioned that off into its own segment to kind of highlight a few other things, because there were a few other things that happened in gaming that I think we should talk about. Starting with, it seems as though someone has put a kind of weird curse on Nintendo and the Pokemon Company, and they can't go a week without announcing 6+ new Pokemon. It's a little bit ridiculous at this point. Every week until release, are we gonna get new Pokemon? It's kind of a bit much. It's just too much. So now, here's some more Pokemans. This is type Null. I mean, we're running out of names, I guess, clearly, but this is some kind of beast that's been fused together, a bunch of different, it's got a fishtail, it's weird claw feet, an axe on its head. It's cool, also horrifying. It's man-made, I guess, allegedly. I'm trying not to read all the details. I would like some of the game to be new if and when I play it, as opposed to I've already seen all these Pokemon, which seems to be their strategy. Then we got Jangmo-o, which doesn't even make sense, because a lot of these names of Pokemon, you look at Pikachu, right? That's Japanese. Jangmo-o, it's just a bunch of letters you jam together on a keyboard. And it looks to me, if you look at this Pokemon, it kind of like a Charmander on all fours. It just limped over. It's really anemic and gray. That's what this Pokemon is. I don't know its backstory. I don't care. I don't care. Look at it. No, I don't care about that thing. Then we move on to another Alola form, again of the classic 152. 151? I don't know why I said 2. The Alola Raticite. No one cares about you. No, look at this. Has anyone in their life used Rattata or Raticata Man in their party? No one. No one has ever used them. Goodbye. We move on to UB01, as I'm going to say. Ultra Beast, number 1. Some mysterious creature. This is something they've added into the game. This is also something that could have been cool to find out about when I play the game, not now. But whatever. It's a weird jellyfish monster. I don't know. It looks like a weird jellyfish monster. I think there's something Pikmin-y about it. There's a jellyfish Pikmin monster. And to research these Ultra Beasts and their associated whatever is the Aether, I'm guessing, I can't pronounce anything, Foundation. They're researching all these beasts, whatever. Fine. We got all this stuff. We're learning so much about this Pokemon game. Can we chill out? There's even more. I didn't go everything. I never talked about the Sandcastle one, which I think is actually kind of cool. In the same way as the ice cream cone Pokemon was pretty cool. But it's just too much. At a certain point, how many Pokemon am I going to know about? And for every week. It's just every week. I'm tired. I'm so tired of Pokemon. Really, mainly just the Pokemon. We'll get rid of that. Now, other things. Oh, leave that back up, actually, because people kind of went a little crazy with the whole, oh, there's Pokemon Snap in this version. And I'm here to say, well, let's just do this. what they showed, the 10 seconds of this Pokemon Snap gameplay, was just you standing, taking a picture of Pokemon. A dragon-y thing flew by, I forget, and I don't care who the dragon was. And you took a picture of it. It seemed like you could only take 5 or 6 pictures because that's how many like Poke film slots you saw. When you took a picture, it went away. So that's what it seems like. So you got that, and then you could post it, and people would thumbs it up. Now, that is not Pokemon Snap. I mean, I hate to break it to people, but Pokemon Snap, a lot deeper than that. A lot different. Now, this all hasn't been shown yet. But, unless Sun and Moon has the ability, or little courses that you go on, that you look around at all the Pokemon, and throw the ball, and do whatever, and make them do like throw shit at Diglett so he becomes Dugtrio, unless it has all that, unless it has Professor Oak, or whoever, at the end of it, grading your Pokemon for a pose, or is it in the center of the frame, or what is it doing, or what is it, oh, there are 2 Pokemon of the same type in the same photo. Great. Unless it's doing that, it isn't Pokemon Snap, and this is what pisses me off. Everyone did this with Pokemon Go. Ooh, it's like Pokemon Snap. No. That is Pokemon in the real world that you can take pictures of. This isn't Pokemon Snap either. These are just 2 space people. Pokemon Snap is very distinct in what it is doing. This is not that at all. Stop saying it's Pokemon Snap. Just so tired. I'm so tired. No, get away. Now, just enough of that. The other big Nintendo thing, we had the super boring cult-like, I didn't watch it at all, I don't know if it was boring, iPhone reveal, ignoring my personal stance on Apple and all that. Super Mario Run was announced. I made a big deal about this being a game you can play with one hand, which I feel is a strange thing to say. Just say you can play the game. I don't care how many hands it takes. Like, what the fuck? Who is looking up games and is like, can I play this with one hand? No? Next game. Who is that person? That person you don't want playing your game. That person is insane. Okay, also, stop saying you can play it with one hand, because that just implies that you're using the other hand to masturbate. So stop saying that. They had the game description. I don't know if it was real or not. I don't really care enough to look on iTunes or whatever. But it was like, you can play it with one hand. And then the next sentence was, it's a new Super Mario game that you can only play with one hand. And I'm like, stop, please stop saying you can play with one hand. But, all that out of the way, the game actually looks pretty good. It seems as though you're just tapping with one hand to make Mario jump. There's little conveyor belt shit that makes you go the other way. And it's got this timer at the top, counting down. Seems Mario-y. Seems good. I like the whole timing base. You're wall jumping, almost like a rhythm game where you're rhythming through Mario. Some of my favorite times in Super Mario Maker are those levels where you just have to run and you can't really slow down and you're just jumping to do things. That's cool. I'm down with this. More Mario is always good. I think it's not just Apple, iPhone, iPad exclusive. It will come to Android eventually. It's also kind of mixed reports, and again, I researched what's that? Free to start. That's what Nintendo's doing with all these things, free to start. Probably have some unlock thing, buy everything. $5, $10, I would imagine. This is Nintendo. This isn't Angry Birds for 99 cents. So they probably wouldn't do that. But I like it. I think it's fine. I think the iPhone has this stupid ass resolution that's really elongated for no goddamn reason. This bottom part of the screen right here, like from basically starting right here and down, is just a graphic and not a play area at all. So it's just this weird kind of parallax foreground. But look good. Super I guess happy with it? I don't know. Also, of their mobile games, Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem delayed to next year. Not surprised. It seems about every single Nintendo mobile thing has been delayed. Not necessarily that that's like, they're fucking up. but I think it's smart. It's kind of smart to take it a little slow with Miitomo, which was delayed, and then Pokemon Go, which had a big reception, but it's kind of died down and is very feature light. Let's take it a little slow with your dipping your little Mario toe into the water. Now, the final bit of news I'll talk about here is about Mass Effect Andromeda. And I have a lot of problems, and I'm taking this out of the PlayStation Pro presentation because I want that all to be about Sony. So this was revealed, finally, actual, like, cohesive, here's 2 minutes of gameplay. What the fuck is on my ceiling? There's a spider on my ceiling. Hey friend. They finally show gameplay. Now, there's a couple problems I have with this gameplay. It does look great. I do think it looks great. Obviously, I'm just watching it on a 1080p display. Looks great. Super pumped. Super pumped that the spider would go that way, though. Not this way. Go that way, please. It's not a dangerous looking spider. It's one of those, like, whatever. Anyway, the problem with this gameplay is that it is none of your favorite parts of Mass Effect. No one has ever said, my favorite part of Mass Effect is walking. Or jumping, which, that's new, right? Jumping's new. This area did remind me of a lot of the indoor areas of Inquisition, which we'll get to Inquisition in a minute. But what you want from Mass Effect are the cutscenes and the dialogue options, and we get a little bit of a cutscene, but you also want the combat, which, have they even shown any of? I don't think so. I don't know. Not very clear. The point is, they're still saying this game could come out in, yeah, keep moving, Spider, in 6 or so months. So, spring, basically. Spring 2017. And my point is, and this is evidenced by the pre-alpha footage thing on the bottom of the footage, pre-alpha? You're showing us 2 minutes of pre-alpha footage of a game that's coming out in 6 months. I'm watching that spider. That doesn't ring good to me, right? 6 months before, so E3, they showed off a lot of Dragon Age Inquisition, whatever year that was. They showed off the hinterlands, the spider, he watched it, he enjoyed it. The hinterlands, a good 15 minutes wandering around, questing, talking to people, fighting a dragon, tons of gameplay. They showed that off. I saw it. 6 months later, roughly, the game comes out, right? Now you mean to tell me that you haven't shown anything, and the game's coming out in 6 months. Now this isn't a Fallout 4 situation. This isn't that. We all knew Fallout 4 was coming, or was in development. Here's an announcement, finally. Here's 20 minutes. It comes out, in 6 months. This isn't that, because EA and BioWare have had plenty of opportunities to show this game. E3 last year, E3 this year, and they didn't. It wasn't like they were denying its existence and not talking about it. If their idea is to have this N7 day announcement and have the release date and all that shit, it just doesn't make any sense as to why you would shit the bed, which is going to be a big theme today, for E3, 2 E3s in a row with it, and this presentation. This presentation, go away, Spider, was not very good of the game. It looked boring. It looked kind of stupid. It was like, okay, this is fine. Like, okay. But I mean, oh, reveal gameplay footage of Mass Effect Andromeda in 4K. Oh, this is so stupid. Like, this is really dumb. This is not, no one wanted this part of it. I didn't like the dialogue either, but that's just a writing issue. I just felt it was kind of fake. Spider, you're getting closer to me, and I don't like it. Now, however, and I've been saying Mass Effect Andromeda will be delayed basically since E3 when they didn't do anything. But there's a couple things worth noting, and I wrote them down in the on the official trailer that's on the Mass Effect whatever the hell. There's a couple things to take note of. One is that spider that gets ever closer to killing me. Here's something that he says towards the end of it. tune in on November 7th and 7th day and officially open the doors to the next chapter of the Mass Effect universe. Okay. So there's going to be a trailer. That's what he said. That's what the voiceover man said. And officially open the doors to the next chapter of the Mass Effect universe. It's weird. It's something about that phrasing is strange to me. And then it ends with text that says, "Sign up, be the first to explore Andromeda." Okay. Now, what that sounds like to me is some kind of, "You're getting closer, Spider." Go away. What that sounds like to me is a beta or a demo or some kind of early access thing. Because the phrasing is super weird. Sign up, be the first to explore Andromeda? That sounds like I'm signing up for an MMO beta. That doesn't sound like a release of a game. There's something really strange about that. Not to mention it says go to masseffect.com, which, Spider, instead of going towards me, you should go to masseffect.com because I went there and there seems to be a bunch of footage I've never seen in the game. Just looping on the little background GIF. Gameplay, like weird beasts and creatures and stuff. I'm like, I've never seen any of this. You could have shown that. You could have shown that 20 seconds and I would have been more excited than what you showed of this 4K shenanigans. So, while I still think it will be delayed to fall 2017, maybe something of the game will come out. Maybe it's broken into parts. Maybe there is a beta that comes out early spring. Maybe the Spider thinks he's going to get into the beta by getting closer. Why don't you just get closer, Spider? Why don't you just get closer? Fucking asshole. Maybe. I just think that wording is very strange. I also think it's super strange to have pre-alpha footage 6 months before release. I think that's pushing it. Also, it looked really good for pre-alpha. But even though you didn't show any gameplay, could you go further away? I think that's enough about the Spider. Who I'm sure will murder me any second now. Alright, that's enough of all the news. Let's just move on to the topics of the week. And maybe I'll kill the Spider in the interim. Please go away. Please? Why are you on the ceiling? No! Unbelievable, Spider. Well, that was a long section. Spider? Oh, for fuck's sakes. I forgot to open up a bunch of videos, too. I'm so good at this. Boop, 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 boop. Stop getting closer. This Spider just gets ever closer. One day he will eat me alive. Not today, Spider. The ironic thing is my fly swatter is relatively close, but it's too far away. I guess I could get up and get the fly swatter. I want to defend myself against this Spider, man. It's not safe over here. Dude, Spider, seriously. Alright. I typed in "we" to test the chat. So just so anyone knows. The Spider is still up there, haunting me. But this is all about the PlayStation 4 Pro. I'm going to do my very best to call it the PlayStation 4 Pro and not PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Neo. Very confusing for my tiny brain. So it looks different, whatever, etc. We're going to start off with some details and kind of break it down. And my roller coaster ride of emotions with all of this. So it comes out November 10th, which is a Thursday, unless my calendar was wrong. I'm going to keep checking for that Spider. That Spider is going to murder me. $399. I think that's fine. The price is fine. It's twice the power of the PlayStation 4. So that's a good price. Now, I'm going to skip down to my predictions. Let's just go right there. So we're going to go down to my predictions here. And, yeah, let's get Neo on the page. So, watching you, Spider. I predicted, and I did predict a couple of weeks ago, I would say, oh, it's coming out next fall. Why would it come out now, right? I still agree with that. Why come out now? There's literally one first-party game you're releasing, The Last Guardian. That's strange to me, but whatever. So then I dialed it back. Maybe it's spring, summer to get ahead of the Scorpio. Well, clearly they want to be super ahead of the Scorpio. And the original rumors, right, Mr. Spider? You want to be part of the show? The original rumors were saying it's going to be in the fall. Okay, so I was wrong. I wasn't wrong in that I think it's stupid to release it now. It's just a weird time. It's just a weird time. Within 6 weeks, or well, actually, let's look at it this way. Within 2 months of each other, we have a new PS4, PlayStation VR, and PlayStation Pro. That's a lot of stuff, and I think it starts to get a little muddled. Whatever, we'll get into it. So that's none. I didn't get any points for that. We're getting this on points, right, Mr. Spider? Please don't murder me. Now, games to be shown on Neo that were there. Uncharted 4, yes, that was shown. God of War, no. Days Gone was very well shown, but its footage, I think, looked like a PC game, which is something we'll get into in a minute. And I also said an unannounced first-party game, but clearly Sony does not believe in any first-party games ever anymore, especially in the fall. No, God forbid we release a fall game. No, we're going to release The Order in February, and Bloodborne in March, and Uncharted in May, and then we're going to fall asleep for the next 8 years. That's what Sony does now. Now, PlayStation VR will be discussed with obvious performance improvements. Duh, and that was. That's great. I think Neo is a great idea for VR. It makes VR much more impressive. A lot of the complaints about PlayStation VR that it looked like PS3 games and stuff like that. It doesn't look that great. This could be awesome. You look at a game maybe like Resident Evil 7, which didn't look that amazing, but in VR and then with this extra power could be super immersive and scary and horrifying. That's compelling to me. That's super compelling to me. Let's move on to my other predictions. Specs are the same as what were leaked prior. That's true too. What's a 4? What's a 4 out of 9? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Now this is where everything falls apart. Trader program not even mentioned. I do think there's got to be something going on. There's a lot of PS4s floating around. What do you even do with all these PS4s? Because now it's not even the standard model of PS4. The Slim is. It's a whole shenanigans. The Slim announcement, also my prediction, was that it would start or end the show. It started the show, and it was pretty much a, hey, here's our new Slim, but look what else we got. So I'm right there. 5 out of 9. That's a passing grade. Okay, let's go back up. We're jumping all around. We got high dynamic range. Mr. Spider, he doesn't seem to care about high dynamic range, but people do. I guess it looks better. I don't know. I have to look at a TV. I don't know. Okay, so let's move down to 4K. Move down, Google Doc. So 4K is just barely starting to be a thing in terms of not even widespread adopt rate or anything. It's still new. It's still happening. It's not going to be in everyone's home yet. You know, everyone's home has a TV and probably it's 1080p. It's not 4K. These 4K TVs, if you want to get one that isn't tiny, even if you do want to get one that's tiny, $1,500, maybe more. You know, if you want a bigger one, $2,000, $2,500. Like, this is a lot of money for a TV. Plus, with HDR being a new thing in TVs, relatively, and it does look good, I guess. I don't know. I think games look fine. My gaming PC, which we'll get into in a minute, I don't know. If you have a 4K TV, this is kind of almost a no-brainer, especially if you don't have a gaming PC. Like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you get this? If you're big into video games and you don't have a gaming PC, but you do have a 4K TV, there's kind of no reason for you not to get the PlayStation Pro, in my opinion. And honestly, my opinion on the PlayStation Pro and whether I want it went from, no, this is stupid, to, yeah, I kind of do. And we'll get into that because of 4K. Now, this isn't true 4K. The PlayStation 4 Pro cannot run native 4K for the vast majority of games. There are a few that will run in 4K. The majority of them will be doing something along the lines of what The Witness is doing, which is running at 1440p, upscaled at 60 frames. That seems to be a common thing. It's like 4 times as many pixels. It's just 4 times as much stuff to do from 1080p to 4K. Not to mention that a lot of games, like, let's go back to The Witness, run at 900p on the PS4. So it's not even there for 1080p 60. That's the problem with this generation, Mr. Spider, is that 1080p 60 wasn't the standard and never was the standard for this gen of console. And now we seem to be skipping that entirely and moving on just to 4K. But it isn't even 4K because you can get a 1080, a GTX 1080 for like $600 something with tax. And you're going to be able to play 4K games at an actual 4K resolution, maybe at 30, maybe a little higher, depends on the game, right? But this is just kind of a weird half step that's pseudo 4K that looks really good, and it might look great. It might be imperceptible to the naked eye. And quite honestly, depending on how far away you are from your TV, you're not going to notice much difference from 4K anyway. But it does look really sharp, and it does look good, and with HDR, it is going to look really good. Right, Mr. Spider? Good. Mr. Spider. Fucking Spider. So that remains to be seen. I do have a gaming PC. A lot of these, like Days Gone, I'm like, this looks like any game I play right now on PC. This just looks like a game. Just looks like a game I've played on PC. You know, everything looks really good. On my PC, I have a 980, which is more powerful than the PlayStation 4 Pro. So I don't really see a reason to get it there. The reason why I went from uninterested to interested is because I don't have a 4K TV. I'm not necessarily going to buy a 4K TV anytime soon. In 3 years, maybe 3 years, and by that time, you know, another PlayStation will have come out, PS5. Who knows? So why would I get that now? But I look at what they're doing, and we'll take, for example, let's just look at Mass Effect. So there's something interesting going on the side. I look at what they have for Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider. There are 3 distinct modes you can pick on the PlayStation Pro. Check on the Spider really quick. So there's 4K. Now there's 4K at 30 frames per second that you can pick. But you can also play the game at 1080p 30 at a rough equivalent of what the Ultra settings are on PC. Or you can play it at 1080p 60 with some doodads and bobs turned off. That is super compelling to me. Being able to play a lot of these games just with more graphic fidelity, that's very appealing to me, even at 1080p. Because even though I only play all the exclusive games on Uncharted, on PlayStation like Uncharted, and Uncharted definitely does not need to look better, but if it does, that's awesome. And I have a gaming PC for everything else. It's nice. I'm being suckered in. It's basically what's happening. I'm being suckered into thinking I need a PlayStation 4 Pro. The Spider doesn't care about the PlayStation. He's stopped. He seems unconcerned. But he has moved a good 3 feet closer to me. And it looks great. This gameplay for Mass Effect Andromeda, especially since I don't have a 4K display, I'd be able to play it like this in 1080p pretty well, no problem. fairly confident I was able to play Dragon Age pretty well. But it's tough because I am at a crossroads in my tiny brain of, do I want to upgrade my PC and do stuff like that? Or is this route maybe cheaper and just get a 4K TV with the money instead and get basically the same stuff out of it? And maybe things look really good, especially Scorpio. But that's the other problem. Scorpio's much more powerful, but all the Microsoft exclusive games come to PC, and they're going to run better on my PC. So, especially until Scorpio comes out, in which case I'd need to upgrade to be more powerful. But that's another year. It's a very weird time, especially if you're not just a console person. If you're just a console person, then buy it. Like, I think it's totally worth it. I think it looks great. Horizon looks great. These games look great. It's tough for me because I've been playing a lot of PC games, and you play Rise of the Tomb Raider on Ultra, and it looks phenomenal. And I play Uncharted 4, and it looks phenomenal. I don't play Fallout 4 on PS4, right? I don't know what it looks like. I don't know the differences. I know it looks better on PC, and I'm already playing it there. So this looks like a step up to me in just overall fidelity and sharpness because of the 4K scaled down. But how much so? I'm not sure, because I've been stuck on the PC the vast majority of these games. The last game I played on PS4 was Neo, and that's not really a game where I care much about graphical fidelity. It's about the gameplay. It's about a solid frame rate, and even that game, interestingly, features options where you can pick, do I want a solid frame rate or do I want better graphics and a lower frame rate? That seems like what we're going to get as the norm. And to me, even with a gaming PC, even with only a 1080p display, I'm kind of enticed by being able to just play the games better. Especially considering it's only $400, and I think I could sell my PS4 since I have the PT demo for a couple $100. That's a good part of the cost, and I get to play Uncharted that looks nicer. I'm down for that. I think I've suckered myself into wanting this stupid pile of garbage. And I understand, though, why a lot of people might be upset by this. It's been 3 years since the PS4 came out. If you bought it day one, I bought mine about almost a year after launch. I've only had my PS4 for 2 years and a month, maybe right now. I could see how you feel a little miffed or shafted or whatever, but I've thought this entire time, like, the Xbox One especially, but also the PS4, is very underpowered. My example I always give is I had a GTX 660 Ti, which is a higher end card with the low end of the high end of that series, and that series came out 2 years or so before the Xbox One. And that card, which again, not the super high-end card, but higher than mid, barely, ran Dead Rising 3 better than Xbox One did. With higher resolution, better frame rate, more stuff on screen. It ran it better than something that came out 2 years after that. So what I'm saying is that these consoles, from the start, Mr. Spider, were very underpowered, especially considering that same year, instead of buying a PS4 and Xbox One that fall, this is the fall Far Cry 4 came out, right? I bought my 980, which is twice as powerful, 3 times as powerful as Xbox One. Yeah, it got to be 3 times as powerful as Xbox One, twice as powerful, a little bit more so than the PS4, the same year. That's the problem with all of this. And that's, again, why I'm so stupid. I still kind of want this. It just looks really shiny. That's the problem. That's the problem with all of this. It just looks shiny, and I want it because it's shiny. But is that a reason enough? Playing the games better is cool to me. Maybe things load faster. Maybe, probably not. But they probably look better. There's more detail. That's cool. But I mean, not to talk about Mass Effect, but Mass Effect does not look very good in this trailer. It looks pretty, but as a game, this isn't a game. This is I walked around and I pressed triangle 3 times. No gameplay really shown. You jumped. Congratulations, you jumped. Right, Mr. Spider? Now what else we got? There's no 4K Blu-ray drive, which is upsetting to some, and I understand that, especially when the Xbox One S has one, and the Scorpio will as well. It's just weird to not have kind of parity. I don't know how many people buy those discs. I buy Blu-ray, and if I did have a 4K TV, I would want that. That does seem like a big feature. I know, oh, 4K streaming. Sorry. 4K streaming does not look as good as 4K. 1080p streaming does not look as good as Blu-ray. 100%. I have seen the difference. I've seen the difference. Streaming Game of Thrones on HBO, whatever the hell, versus putting that Blu-ray in, world of difference. World of difference. The same difference between PlayStation 4 and the Pro. That's pretty much how I feel about that. And I mentioned the Xbox One S. A lot of people, kind of funny, have kind of said, oh, the Xbox One S does a lot of these things. It's basically an Xbox One S. It doesn't do much different. And I wholeheartedly disagree. The amount of power that this thing has over the Xbox One S is what it does. Even if you don't have a 4K TV, it is a lot more power if that's what you want. And I do want more power. So I don't buy these comparisons to the Xbox One S. The Xbox One is so underpowered at this point compared to the Pro. It's not even worth mentioning. Now, something came out in the last day about game updates to the Pro and them potentially not being free depending on the game. This could inherently be a problem, maybe? Especially considering we don't have a high adopt rate. There's maybe 20 games they've listed that are coming out, and strange ones too, like Shadow of Mordor. I'm like, why are you? I guess I mean, obviously there's a sequel to that coming, so you want to talk about it again. But it's just like, why are you talking about that game now of all times? Obviously, all the first-party games are gonna get it. No mention of Bloodborne. You could have mentioned Bloodborne, and I would have been like, okay, here's my money, take it. I will play Bloodborne again when it looks better and runs at 60 frames. Those Souls games at 60, whew, they're good. It's a difference. It's a big difference. There's another view of it. Now, another thing that was going on was the rumor that Red Dead would be at the show. Oh, it's in New York. It's going to happen. I didn't even include this in my predictions. I included this in my E3 predictions where I said there would be no Red Dead there. I was right. And I didn't even consider it for the PlayStation 4 Pro because the spider, he's like the fly on the wall, but he's the spider on the wall. He told me it wasn't going to happen. There was no Red Dead here. Of fucking course there wasn't. Why did you think there was going to be Red Dead? It makes no goddamn sense for them to come out and talk about Red Dead now. People are still thinking, again, kind of funny, Colin, there's no way that game comes out this year. There's no way you release. Think of how they hyped up GTA 4. That was like a year out. And it was every couple of weeks we got some new updates. And I'm not saying they do the same thing for Red Dead, but they, for fuck's sakes, at least talk about it. They do a little bit more than, hey, it comes out in a week. It doesn't make any goddamn sense, especially with this shit show that was this whole conference, which I haven't even gotten into, was really bad. The only positive side of this whole press conference was that it was short, and I think that was the best part of it. It was short. At this point, I feel like I've talked about this stupid Pro for about half the press conference, lengthwise. I mentioned Tomb Raider already, and I mentioned Horizon already, which was the last thing. I think, I'll just leave it there. And that's the thing, I think this is stupid, it's unnecessary. It's not a slap to the face. It's not that egregious, but it is kind of disheartening. Especially, I remember being 18, let's say, and buying my PS4 or PS3, and if you had told me in 2 years there would have been another PS3 that was twice as powerful, I'd have been like, man, I just bought this. Like, I'm a kid, I'm in college. This isn't good. I can't be buying all these games every year. It's a little ridiculous. So I understand that plight. I understand if you saved up money and now you feel like you have to. You don't have to, but you want to. It's just, it's tough. It's really tough. And there's also the issue of it not being in 4K. It is not running games natively in 4K. The vast majority of them. There is, I think, what was it? The Last of Us Remastered, which shockingly is being remastered, I guess, in 4K now. So that'll run at native 4K. I just don't. Gotta keep checking that spider, man. He's up there. I just don't understand like that. Why they're just so doubling down on this 4K idea, but the games don't even run at 4K. It's so weird. It's so bizarre to me, and at the same time, I want it, right? Like okay, the games are gonna look better. Yeah, I would like all the games to look better, and I say all the games because, to be honest, if you're not playing a AAA game on your PS4, you're playing an indie game, and the indie game is just going to be fine anyway. It's going to look better, or it's going to run better, or even if it doesn't, who cares? It's still going to be there. It's not about the graphics necessarily. And if you're only playing first-party titles, they're all going to have it. Uncharted's going to have it. Horizon's going to have it. This new Gran Turismo game's going to have it. Absurd Neighbors, who are probably scaring the goddamn spider because they're moving chairs around. That game's going to have it. Can you hear them moving chairs? Hey, maybe when you move chairs, maybe you should lift the chairs up. Maybe you should lift the chairs up instead of pushing them around like a goddamn savage. Also, I'd like to note, there's carpet on these floors. How are you making all these scraping sounds? The fuck are you moving? They move stuff all the goddamn time. And you know what I want them to move? Themselves. Go away. But on the PlayStation 4 Pro, I feel like I'm going to end up with this. I feel like I'm going to end up with this. Whether I want it or not. I'm going to end up with it. I'm not going to end up with a Scorpio. I'm going to give my Xbox One to my dad and be like, here, this is the new Xbox. I don't need this anymore. I can play all these games on my PC. Here you go. Like that's how it's going to go. Is like, I don't need my Xbox anymore. I don't need the Scorpio. I'll just buy more gaming PC parts, and I'll have my PlayStation for Bloodborne and Uncharted and The Last of Us 2. Which, good God, The Last of Us 2. I also mentioned in my predictions, maybe they'd talk about Uncharted DLC. No, but I would like to have the Neo for that DLC. PlayStation 4 Pro. I would like to have the Pro for the DLC. I would like to play through the game again on the Pro. Like, I would totally do that. I'm 100% down for the game to look better and to run better. And that is just the PC gaming side of it. It's so much better on PC gaming. It just looks better, runs better. I just played Battlefield 1. Basically max settings. Okay, it was like 40 frames, but I could have dropped it to 30 and it would have ran solid 30. And that's basically what the Neo version is going to look like. I have that already. So I'm a moron. Basically, this whole circular thing, I'm a moron. That's what it means. But at least they stopped moving chairs, and the spider has not gotten closer. Merry Christmas. I'm saying that to the spider, not to you. Better not get closer, spider. I'm watching you. Well, I'm actually not watching you. I'm watching you. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. I'm not watching you at all. Just have to set up a few things here. Double check on that spider, man. He's up to no good. Alright, let's review Nuka-World. I have to do that screen first, it's a problem. So, can you start now? Where to begin with Nuka-World? Let's begin with the spider on my ceiling. So, I think, okay. Loading. I know, I'm sorry about the loading. With Nuka-World, I think it starts out really good. And I don't want to spoil the beginning because I feel like the beginning is the best part, but you're basically go to the train station, and the train station takes you to Nuka-World. And the whole beginning is very evocative of Bioshock to me. Because you're on a tram and you're looking all around and you're seeing all these things, and then you get there and there's a guy on the intercom talking to you, and you're going through traps, and it's this linear. And that's cool. The talk show's fun, as evidenced by talking. I have to have the loading to kind of break it up, but just like Fallout, haha. Now, so I don't want to spoil the beginning and all that story stuff, so I'm going to talk more about the rest of the DLC, because I do think it starts strong and then kind of spirals out of control. The whole deal with Nuka-World, which, by the way, can we look at how dark this game is at night? It's a real big problem to me. The game at night is almost unplayable. It's so boring and drab looking. This is maybe why HDR is needed. I don't know. But doesn't fall short. Yeah. The thing with Nuka-World is it's such a good idea on paper, right? It's this giant amusement park, and there's a spider on my ceiling, by the way, if I ever look up. That's why. He's attacking me. There's all these different parks, like Disney World. Each one has its own theme, each one has its own story, and it all sounds great and very interesting. And then you start going to these places, and it's not that, like, I'm going to spoil one of the places you go to, which is the Western World. So the Western World basically is, looks like a canyon, and there's a little saloon, and there's the central passage that's where you do the little shootout, in the Western movie. There's the minecart area and the roller coaster with the minecart, and then, yeah, spiders do not like. And then there's a little theater. So in this Western World, you go there, and there's a little robot man with a little sheriff hat, and he seems to think everything's fine, I'm just doing my job. And there's a bunch of bloodworms coming out of the ground. Each little world has its own little enemy. So this area has the bloodworms. So you go, and I gotta complete these quests to get access to the minecart area. And he's like, oh, my 3 robot friends each have one part of the code. And you go to his robot friends, and one of them wants you to duel with him, so you just shoot him, and okay, he's done. And then you go to the other guy, and you have to serve 3 drinks. And then you go to the other guy, and he's like, I lost my pony. And his pony's in the garbage, and you take it out of your inventory, and you throw it on the ground. Then you have all 3 parts of the code. Then you go to the theater, you turn the code in, you get the key, you go to the indoor area, which is a nice little shooter section. And then you've killed all the bloodworms, and now the area is inhabitable for all these raiders to go into. That's fine. That's literally the entire area though. And everything is not thinly veiled. It's 100% straightforward what it is. These quests exist just to get you to go to every part of the map they've made, which is fine, but they're so on the nose and kind of dumb, especially with the Western world. I'm spoiling one of the worst ones in terms of like story and plot. Each world has its own backstory. An interesting thing, there's one that takes place in the bottling plant. So you're going through it and it tells you like the history of Nuka-World. But this is, or of Nuka-Cola. This is where the big problem of Fallout and the DLC kind of gets into it, is that you'll be walking around, oh, I started making Nuka-Cola in 2163, and my grandpappy used to put sugar in the thing, and you're like listening to this story, and like, this is the story of Nuka-Cola Dark, it's the alcoholic beverage, and you're listening to all these things that are interesting and compelling enough on their own, except the game doesn't have any confidence in it, or whatever, and it just starts throwing enemies at you. So I'm trying to listen at this amusement park where it's a water ride. It's a small world basically, and there's little dioramas of the world and people drinking Nuka-Cola, and you're hearing this cool narration, but the entire time you can't hear the narration or focus on it because there's Mirelurks trying to murder you the entire time. And that same thing is true with every area. There's another place that's like a fun house, and there's just ghouls everywhere. It's like, this would have been cool without the ghouls. I don't need that. I got the narration. This guy in the intercom talking to me, being like, you get out of my area, blah, 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 blah. Very Bioshocky, but in a shitty way. Not as good as Bioshocky. And what was the other area that I was going to bring up? Oh, there's this other place where you go and you tour a vault. It's basically an advertisement for the vaults in Nuka-World. And it's got this interesting narration, like, this is the future, you could go into the vault, and da da da. But everything's trying to kill you. You can't focus on the narration. You can't be immersed in the story. It's constantly trying to throw enemies at you because it thinks you're going to get bored. It doesn't have any confidence in itself. If this DLC, check on the spider, this DLC could have 80% fewer fights or enemies in it. 20% of the amount of enemies in it, and it would have been so much better. There's the Mystery Mansion. It's an optional area off to the side. When you have Disney World, you have these little places off the side of the park that are not associated with it, but are tourist traps, kind of. So there's this murder mystery place, and you go into it, and it has this narration of this creepy girl has some weird problems, that she killed her parents, and they found her hanging in the attic and whatever. And you're walking through it, and you're like, this is really cool narration. This is kind of spooky. And each door opens at the end of each section, so it's doing this narration, and it's got creepy paintings on the wall, and then the door will open to the next area. It's automated. And then you go to the next area, and the furniture's on the ceiling, and like, this is the creepy room where they found the furniture on the ceiling. Like, this is cool, this is atmospheric. But the entire time, everything's trying to kill you. And at a certain point, they try to do this spooky thing where the girl killed her parents, right? And you turn the corner into a room, and the girl would go into the door, and it would shut behind her, and you're like, did I just see that? Did I just see that? However, because I spawned the enemies and I kind of backed out of the room, the girl, who's supposed to be a hidden ghost, not actual person who's there, ran out of the room and into the rest of the world. And I'm just like, why is there any combat here? Why? You could have had the one guy at the end, and I fought him, and it wasn't even a boss, it was just a dude. And I would have been totally okay with it. I could have read his journal and had him been like, am I seeing things? What's going on? I could have swore I saw someone shut this door. That would have been amazing. That would have been so cool. But instead, they ruin it by throwing enemies at you the entire time. Yes, that is 100% what I'm saying. 100% what I'm saying. Amusement, an amusement park. They made an amusement park, but they didn't put the amusement in it. Yeah, the combat, and I have a big problem with the combat in Fallout. It's fun. It's fine. But check the spider. It's just, I mean, everyone has this experience with Fallout where you're fighting a Mirelurk, for example, and you're spinning in a circle as you like strafe backwards to shoot it, and you shoot it 20 times, and this is a good 60 seconds of you spinning in a circle backwards fighting a Mirelurk. Imagine how stupid that is. Imagine playing Gears of War where that was how you fought every enemy. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Or Halo, even if you want to do a first-person game. It's so stupid and bad. The combat needs to just turn into kind of like Doom, really. If the combat was closer to Doom, it'd be interesting, but that's the point. It doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. And you're saying you miss BioShock. This is why I'm excited for BioShock next week. Remaster. I'm gonna play it again for no reason. But it does so much better. Like we could talk about Gears because I'm kind of excited for Gears. But BioShock had that, and it's similar. It's very similar to BioShock because BioShock had this is that guy's area and he's talking to you. This is Cohen's area. This is the Frozen area. I think it's the same area. But that's how BioShock 1 was broken up, and even Infinite is broken up into kind of its own sections. They don't have their own madmen at the top of each section, but that's how BioShock 1 is broken up. And it's this crazy idea of I had this crazy idea of a parallel universe where Nuka-World existed before this, right? And then they made BioShock because there's like so many seeds of BioShock in this, in how its story is told. But BioShock already did this 10 years ago. 10 years ago BioShock did this. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. You're growing on me. Yeah, pacing. Oh, and let's talk about Far Harbor actually too. The pacing is all off in all of Fallout, I think. But particularly here because it does like, oh, like I'm saying, we have story and then we have combat, and they just like mashed it together to the point of where you ruin the combat. Already isn't that amazing, and the areas actually are super interesting, but they're ruined by the combat. That's beating a dead horse at this point. Back to Far Harbor. I gotta give this DLC props because Far Harbor is very much Fallout. It is the open area. It was the largest area we made. It's 3 different factions, and you're learning their whole history, and check the spider, and all that shit. It's very Fallout-y. It's not paint by numbers Fallout, but it kind of is. It's very much what you expect. This DLC kind of is different. It almost feels very weird. Each of these areas takes about an hour to do, and they're very self-contained. They don't spill over into the world at all. Even just the Nuka-World. Like the place that has robots. There's not robots floating around. There aren't ghouls. There aren't these bloodworms really floating around much around these areas. It would make more sense if they were scary zones. Not to mention the narrative dissonance you have to have because there's 50 raiders in this town and they didn't bother to go do this challenge. Like, I guess they didn't want to. It's so weird. But Far Harbor, what Far Harbor had was, that's the funny thing about Fallout 4's main quest. I spent 40 hours or 30 hours or something with it. I never did. I got to the part where you go into that guy's brain. That was as far as I got. But Far Harbor, I loved the story because it was all talking. There was so much of it, and learning each new area has its leader and their little disciples, and there's intrigue and kind of like this person isn't a real follower of Adam, and da da da, and you're solving this mystery and piecing it all together. And it did have a really shitty defense thing that you did, but the rest of it super awesome and very story heavy. This has 3 raider tribes that have leaders with backstory that doesn't really mean anything or do anything or go anywhere, and it's like, okay, I guess. Not to mention the ending of this DLC is kind of bad. Not the very ending, but right before that you have to start taking, it's an interesting idea, taking raider camps on the Commonwealth. That's cool, but yeah, I would say don't spoil Fallout 4's ending for me, but at the same time, I don't even know who the Railway is. That's how much or the Institute. Like, I don't know anything. There's that one blimp. That's the Brotherhood, right? I have no clue. That's how much I did of that. I really like New Vegas. That's the thing. And this DLC or Far Harbor kind of felt more like New Vegas, where it did have the plot and all that interesting tribes and people. Actually, come to think of it, with the strip in New Vegas, that's kind of what they tried to do here in Nuka-World, with the different factions you can pick with. But I liked New Vegas. My big problem in New Vegas was that it was gated more in terms of, like, I can't go north because that crazy scorpion guy's gonna kill me, so I have to go south. Like, that was my only problem with it, which if I played it today, I wouldn't have a problem with. Because back then I was all about, I loved Fallout 3. It was one of my favorite games ever. Like 200, 300 hours in Fallout 3. Fallout 4 comes out and I'm like, 30. It's just a different time in my life, right? And now I'd be more interested in playing the story and getting quests and just doing quests and not exploring. So I'd probably like Fallout or New Vegas more today as opposed to then. I still really enjoyed it then, but it's a different way to tired from work. Yeah, these games have great story, and that's the big problem. Far Harbor was a very good example of how they can tell a good story and still have those combat moments of like, the town's under attack, okay, and now I'm going to talk to this guy, and now I'm going to go to this synth man who's a god in this building, and Dima, or whatever his name was, and I'm going to talk to him, and he has this weird relationship with the children of Adam, and what's that about? And you're learning and seeing all these things, and I'm finding this kid, and I found her, I'm talking to her, and that's cool. That's very compelling, and it had none of the main quest stuff really had anything to do with combat. And here they really ruined it. They really ruined it with combat. It's so crazy. And I long have thought about turning Fallout, because I didn't like the combat very much, turning Fallout to like super easy so I could just kill things in one shot. But my argument against that is that this is the default of the game, and everyone is going to play it on the default difficulty level. And so if it's ruined on the default, it's ruined. Destiny has a storyline better than Fallout 4. It might. I never really played much of Destiny. It might. I've played maybe a couple hours of Fallout 1. And I'd actually like to. I thought it was really cool. If they made just a simple reskin of like just a modern UI and stuff, oh, I'd be so into it. What's that game, Outlast? Is Outlast the one game? I think it's Outlast, made by the same devs, or like it's a spiritual successor. I love the idea of Fallout 1. Fallout 1's the one where you need to find the water purifier. Like, they send you out of the vault to find the water purifier and go around and do all that shit. I played it for a little bit. I'd probably like it more now than when I played it then. I played it, I think, back around when Fallout 3 came out, and I was just super excited for Fallout stuff. But I think that's what I'd want to see for a Fallout 5, is just completely strip this engine. Just don't even use it. Don't even bother. Just tell an interesting story and have a VATS almost strategy combat. Like a slower paced combat. Not as slow as Fallout 1, because I think modern people would whine and complain about that too much, but you could still have a VATS for everything, and that would be much more interesting. Yeah, more dialogue, more people, more followers. Yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, that's 100% true. But even I feel like Fallout 3's main plot was kind of weak. But Fallout 3's, I mean, just speaking on DLC, Fallout 3's DLC, so much better than Fallout 4's DLC. I'm so glad I bought this season pass before they raised the price, because it is not worth the full season price for just Far Harbor and this. They're really good and nice. Far Harbor's better. I would recommend just playing Far Harbor. But it's like, it's kind of depressing. It really is. It's like, why bother with any of this? It would have been so much better if you could go to these parks and just experience them and see what they're about. And they can still have their storyline. right? They can still have all the audio logs and all the terminals, of which there are many, and not have any of the combat, or have like little combat rooms. It never has an area where like, oh, this is gonna be a cool combat encounter. Very rarely does Fallout in any point do that. And that's what it needs. It needs areas for combat as opposed to just areas. It just has areas for everything instead of combat areas and story areas. You think about like a Mass Effect. You don't really fight anyone on the Citadel or whatever, you know, like this is the story section area and this is the combat section. And maybe that's antiquated. Like, we shouldn't separate the areas. It should just be one cohesive thing. But there's kind of evidence with this. It's like, no, I don't want enemies here mucking it up. I want enemies over here in the alleyway for a designated fight. That's much more interesting than, oh, Fallout or Uncharted 4 is a perfect example of that. There's so much plot and story, and it has respect for itself to just show you it. And you're exploring and doing all this stuff. That's what Fallout's about, is exploring. If anyone's ever said they like the combat in Fallout 4 or 3, or any of them, I'm a little like, what do you like about it? Because it's not that good. It's not deep. It's not Dark Souls. You know, it's not. It's just literally shooting and running in a circle. It's not that great. I'd rather have actual combat encounters more akin to even in Uncharted, where it's just, here's the room where I fight guys. I don't know. It's kind of a mess. I mean, I love, oh, you can't see, I took it down. I have the Pip-Boy. I loved Fallout 3, like I said. I bought the Pip-Boy edition of Fallout 4. I got the, a bunch of shit. I got the bomb, the mini nuke, that's right over here, actually. I love it, but I bought all that stuff for Fallout 4 because I played so much of Fallout 3, and then 4 was just like, maybe I don't like this at all. Maybe it's not very good. That's the combat. Oh, in Metro? Shit, I keep forgetting to play Metro too. I have, oh, that's why, because I did the remaster stuff, and I wanted to play the remaster things. One of these days on a Steam sale, I need to pick those up. Because I did play maybe the first hour or so of Metro 2033, and I rather enjoyed it. I do think it has exactly that. It has those moments, and it has a shooter moments. Like, it can be a good shooter. Because it can't do all this other shit, it can actually be a good shooter. Yeah, it's worth it. Every once in a while, it's like $5 each. I should do that. There's not a lot of games I'm interested in this fall, so I should do that. What about the sequel? Just as good? I'd probably get a bundle for cheaper of both of them. Yeah, I've heard so many good things about it, though. So it was great. You know, I played, what was it? Yeah, I don't know. I just can't. Fallout, I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. Man, this engine, they need to really stop saying that we updated the engine. No, you've not updated it. Stop it. This is the same, this is some Frankenstein bullshit. Fix your shit. This typing shit sucks. Oh, you have, does Discord have a voice chat, like voice to text thing? I'm actually getting a Discord for my own channel. Because I stream this show here, but I stream Mario Maker a lot on my own channel. And I need to get started on that, but I got a Discord server. Or whatever. I didn't know you could, like, text chat. No. It just reads in your mind. That'd be cool. I'm down with that. Phones do that. I don't know. Don't make fun of me. Maybe I don't know how things work. I have 3 Pikachus. Oh, well, 2. Well, 3. There's 3 right there. You can't see the pumpkin. The pumpkin one's off screen. Oh, yeah. No, I haven't tested out doing like voice stuff with streaming and with OBS and all that. I still need to update to OBS Studio. But man, BioShock next week. I'm excited for BioShock. Like the opening of this DLC. Co-op talk. Yeah, I wish it had voice effect. That would be cool. That would be cool. I consider doing, if this show, it hypothetically ever got like bigger than no one watching, which I guess is technically now, but I would totally consider doing like call-in type of stuff. That'd be interesting, especially if you could do that on Discord and being like, hey, ping in, talk for a couple minutes, and have a little discussion. That'd be super cool. I'd be down with that. No, there's like no show that does that. There's no video game show that does that. A call that I know of, a live call-in type of thing. Maybe like G4 did some stuff like that back in the day. They're saying, oh, Bioshock. With the opening of this DLC, it was like, oh, this is kind of like Bioshock, but kind of a bullshit Bioshock. And I'm gonna play the shit out of Bioshock next week. I'm super excited for that. That's cool, man. I'll try and let me click on your name actually. Zombie hugs. Don't hug no zombies, man. The spider's gotten closer. Shit, forgot about the spider. Not good, man. It's not good. Spider's getting bad. Getting bad over here with the spiders. Yeah, it's really fun. I've actually done this show for a while. It's more fun just to talk to people, and I put it up on YouTube and have kind of a discussion. I'm worried about the spider. The thing is, I started streaming an hour and 15 minutes ago. I noticed the spider 5 minutes in, and it's just been slowly getting closer the entire time. Oh, that's another thing too with this DLC. The factions don't mean anything. Like, they don't have any quests. That was what was so interesting about Far Harbor, was all those little quests you could do for each faction, and they don't do anything. Yeah, give me Discord. I just got Discord. I don't know how it works. But let me know. I'd call in or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how the fuck anything works. I don't like the spider, man. It's one of those nice spiders though. It doesn't look like a demon one. I don't think. But it is basically almost overhead. I mean, if it went down right now, it'd be like, you know, you're right in front of me. You're right in front of me. Not good. This is now me talking to the chat portion of the show instead of paying attention to anything else. Also, this inventory system. Good God. Could we make a worse one, please? Could we make a worse inventory system? It's so terrible. And you can't sort by, like, the newest thing you picked up. So you pick up these notes and you want to read them, and then you gotta cycle through 600 notes. Like, I guess I should have put these all in a drawer, or maybe you could make a better inventory, please. Ridiculous. Nope, that's not a link. It's on their website, though. That's exactly what I did, too. Ditch Skype. Get out of here, Skype. No one wants you. My upstairs neighbors are so stupid. It's so annoying. They don't, every day at about 2 in the morning, they run the water. I can hear them running the water for a good hour. Just straight. Every day. Every day I'm up at that time. But it's every day. It's every time. I actually have Discord on right now. But here's what we could do. You could send me the thing. You could send me your Discord. And we could probably talk about Bioshock next week. And I could test that out with you. I'd be totally down for that. I just tried to click OBS. That link. I just tried to click that link in OBS, like on the stream display. I'm doing real good. Doing real good today. Is this gonna open up in the browser? Oh no. Oh no. Hello. Sure. The things are out of control. There you go. If you call me now, I'm not gonna answer. It'll do for now. But I'll totally do that. If you're around next week, the show will be starting an hour, 3 p.m. Pacific time. We can talk about Bioshock. I'll test the whole Discord thing. We can run a test run with all of it on Discord. I don't know how that'll work. Oh, it'll work perfectly fine because it'll just be your audio coming to the computer. It'll work fine. Spider. I think this is where I start going to that's what I said. On my channel? I don't know how Discord works. Oh, it's moving again. Stop moving. You mean my Discord channel or like this channel? Because we are talking, that's what I mean. I mean next week here on this channel. Because I would end the show normally, but there's a spider. I'm real concerned about this spider. Yeah, I joined it. I'm in Discord right now. There you go, boo. Boo. I have a little picture of a cat. I just don't know how anything works. I don't know how Discord works. I've had it for a week. See, now you're not going to show up on the thing. I have to get a display for... Oh my god. Well, there's all these rules. There's all these things.
There you go. You got it. You got it.
No, I don't like this. Hold on. I need to see the audio. Alright. That should be about right.
Did you?
It doesn't seem to work that great. You're kind of in and out.
Turn down your shit, man. Unmute your mic too.
Oh, okay. Okay, there you go. Well, I have to manage all these different settings.
I hear you now. Yeah, it's a little bit stupid sometimes, but you'll get a hang of it because it's really easy to get the hang of. Like, I usually just use push to talk specifically for the reason that there's a lot of background noise, and when your stream's going on and when my stream's going on, like when I'm doing talking, a lot of the times background noise will come through from other people talking, and that's why we have like the push to talk thing.
Yeah, I get you. I'm just figuring out volume level over here.
Yeah. Make it safe enough to where I'm not drowning you out, but you can also hear me clearly.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't know. I'd have to test the volume. I'm using this as a test. I don't know how loud it is right now.
Yeah, that's the great thing about OBS is it's so
easy.
Manipulated.
It's so manipulated.
I'm trying to look for the fucking word. Like
it's super easy to mess with, yeah.
It's versatile.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go with that word. Versatile. It has a volume knob. It's versatile.
So, did you hear that System Shock is actually getting a remaster?
Yes, I have seen that. I think that's super cool. I'll totally play that. Totally.
I am one of the original System Shock players. I've played System Shock 1 and 2. But I'm personally really excited because going back from that era of graphics, like almost like a marathon type graphic to what it is today, I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest. I mean, even with the Bioshock from 10 years ago to now, it looks so much better. It's kind of incredible how games have come in 20 years. I mean, look at like Metal Gear Solid 1 to 5. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. Not that graphics are everything, but it is nice. It is nice to have some modern sensibilities. That's cool.
I'll tell you what, man. If they don't save Metal Gear Solid, that series is going to burn to the ground soon.
It's already burnt to the ground. It's already burned to the ground.
But this whole Metal Gear Survive thing, though, like what?
Dude, you should have seen I had that on my show the other week when they talked about it. I 100% believe if Kojima had come out at Sony's wherever and he was still with Konami and he revealed this, people would have liked it. People would have 100% liked this game. They're just being a bunch of whiny babies now. Just don't play the game then. If you don't want to play this game, don't buy the game. You already said fuck Konami, and now you're coming around and being like, oh well, no, I don't want it. You already didn't want it. You already didn't want it. Just go away then. If you don't want it, go away. Tell them, send them a message by not buying the game. Done. End of statement.
My thing isn't fuck Konami. It's more so like what they did to Kojima was wrong, yes, but they're a game company all the same. I mean, look what Cliff Bleszinski did to Epic. Look what Peter Molyneux did to Lion Studios. It's stuff like that. But it's like you also have to think that Konami, as a game studio, must go on to make profit aside from the pachinko machines. So they're gonna have something else coming out, regardless if it's a spin-off or not.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for them to just use that Fox engine and re-release all the games. I don't know why they don't just do that. It's all existing. Everyone already likes it. You could just do that for the next 10 years and people will be 100% fine with it. And since they put all that work into MGS3 on that pachinko machine, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you just go the extra mile and just have the game? You have all the mechanics. You have it all done. You have to have some people from Kojima's team left who know the engine and know how to work it.
Exactly. But look at what Kojima's done on his own already. Like, his first freaking year as an independent game developer, and he's making Death Stranding for PlayStation exclusive. Whoa.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, that game's like 4 years away at best or something, but that'll be great. It's nice to see him do something that's not Metal Gear, because he's long been like, this is the last Metal Gear, and I guess we're gonna do this one, and then we're gonna do this one, and like,
right.
Oh my god.
Like, it's gonna take a while, but the fact that Norman Reedus is already on board for the project and they already have a trailer out there is pretty impressive to me. What they've showed for months of development, even though it's a trailer and whatever, that's super impressive, super good. I mean, it's Kojima. He does some cool stuff. Like, there's a reason why he has this following, and that's why. I don't know where he gets all these ideas, but did you know that they had an original Metal Gear project? This independent company had a fan project for Metal Gear, and it was going to be a fully refledged Unreal Engine 4 freaking remake of the original Metal Gear, and Konami shut it down.
Oh, I think, that was like a couple months ago or something. It wasn't super recently. I do kind of remember that.
Back in February.
February, yeah, that sounds about right. Well, they have to shut it down. If Konami doesn't shut it down, it sets a precedent that they're not enforcing their copyright. It's the same reason why Nintendo shuts down No Mario Sky or whatever. It's the same exact reason. You have to. You have to.
Right. Go ahead.
No, you go. I just have to mute myself because you come through my speakers. I need to get headphones.
Yeah, it's okay. So most importantly, the thing that Konami needs to understand is they need to focus on what they have currently in their library. Like, for the IPs that they have, like Castlevania and Silent Hill, if they bring those back, Konami has a fighting chance to stay as a game developer for fans specifically, because not everyone is like, fuck Konami. They still have stuff under their sleeves.
It seems like they don't want to. I actually did this. I went to E3, what was it, 2013 or 14, I think? But I took pictures of Konami's booth, and this was like 2 years before MGS5 even came out. And it was this giant booth that was, and they actually had this tiny little part of it where there was actually people and a wall and stuff. And it was just this red carpet. I took 4 pictures of each 4 corners of it. Empty, big ol' empty space. They're clearly leaving. They're saving their space because they don't want to lose it with E3. But they're clearly kind of slowly leaving. And that was the beginning of the end of them. They have soccer and they have Metal Gear, and you're right, they have Castlevania. I love all the Castlevania, except for the recent 3D ones I'm not a huge fan of. I'm even a fan of Castlevania 64. I love that game. Fuck, Castlevania is amazing. They don't do anything with it. They've done, I mean, I couldn't tell you, is it the 25th anniversary? Is it the 30th anniversary? No idea. They probably don't even know. And that's the problem. They seem to just be completely out of it. They have in Japan also these fitness studios, and it's extremely expensive to make games, and it's so much easier just to do low risk, maybe low reward, but low risk, and you're just a business, and maybe you're comfortable making that. That's fine, but give these properties to other studios that could make it, like Castlevania. I mean, where are the Castlevania games? We got Axiom Verge. That's the only Metroidvania game we get, and we're gonna get Ritual of the Night, Bloodstained.
Because the developer decided to completely leave the studio to develop it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult thing. I think Konami is just weird though. They did the HD remaster of Zone of the Enders. It's like, why? It seems like a completely different company, and that was 4 years ago. So weird. They're so weird.
You know what would be really sick is a complete remaster of Symphony of the Night, dude.
Yeah, I'd be down with that. I'll just full 1080p pixel art. They're not gonna do that. It's super expensive, but oh man, that'd be good. That game's still phenomenal.
It still holds up today.
100%, 100%. Love it.
Personally, of Konami's last outing of like an actual Metal Gear game, from what I'm thinking, what did you think of Metal Gear Solid 5? What was the flaws? What was the pros?
Oh man. If you want to go back, I actually have like a review of it. That's like a good 50 minutes. It's so long.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, I have it. It's recorded. You know, it's on my YouTube. But basically, the problems I have with Metal Gear Solid 5 is it's a really good game. It's obviously an incredibly made game. Blah blah blah. The best stealth game ever made, probably. Okay. Could Boss in this, Big Boss, be Sam Fisher? Yes. Could he be anyone? Yes. And I know there's spoiler implications for all that, but it could be literally anyone. And the plot is in the first hour, and then there's 5. You're going through these missions where assassinate this guy. Okay, I'll assassinate this guy. And then you do that, and it has no implications to anything. You're like, okay, I guess that was just the mission. And then you do the next mission, and it's capture this one thing, and it has nothing to do with anything. And then you do the next mission, and it's the Death Bees or whatever the hell, and it has story content, and you're like, this is incredible, this is Metal Gear. And then there's another 5 hours of nothing, and then you rescue Yui, and then there's 5 hours of nothing. It's like all this stuff could have been compressed. Instead of playing 40 to 50 hours of this game, I could have played 20, like Snake Eater, that was a linear, going through the same exact areas they already made, which were incredible, story-focused game that would have been Metal Gear. Not to mention the bosses, which are terrible. I hate Peace Walker because of the shitty bosses, and this game doesn't even have any, really. The final boss is good, or the final boss of Part 1 is good, and Part 2 is incredible. I think Part 2 is what the pacing should have been for the entire game.
Dude. Fucking, oh my god. Metal Gear Acid has better bosses than Metal Gear Solid 5.
The bosses are so just dumb. They're not even bosses. Metallic Archaea. I'll never forget the name of that mission. So terrible. I almost quit the game. It was so bad. I'm playing through a stealth game. I don't have guns. Also, I don't want to call in a tank and have it be neutralized in 5 seconds, or have to call in ammo 6 times. It's like the final Quiet mission, if you did that. Super frustrating and annoying combat mission where I have to call in airdrops like, I don't want to do that. I want to play the game, and it's a stealth game. Yes, it does shooting really well, and that's awesome. It's one of those games where you can get caught and you feel cornered, but you can still get out of it, and you can still run away and kind of do another thing. But I don't want to do that. I'm not leveling up my sniper rifle. I'm getting it to the point where I can trank people. I'm not killing them. That's how I play through that game. I play through Dishonored, not killing anyone, not getting seen once. That's how I want to play these games. Forcing me to fight, no.
Fuck it, man. Like for me, if someone classifies something as a stealth game, I don't want to put something as stupid as a fucking kill all these big ass tank monsters in a fucking mission. It's pointless to me.
No, that's exactly the point. That was my problem with. Did you play Peace Walker? The ending of Peace Walker.
Yeah, I did.
I almost quit playing that game too, because it turns into that one mission at the very end where you basically have to have the combat armor and you have to mow down 30-something enemies every 5 seconds. It's so bad. Oh my god, it's terrible.
It was so stupid.
I hate that game.
Honestly, basically, a lot of the games out there, including back to like Nintendo era, I've pretty much played them all. Like, I know you're asking me, have you played this? I'm pretty sure I've played it. I'm a pretty fucking big video game nerd.
Well, I'm just making sure because I didn't play Peace Walker until about a year ago. I didn't play Peace Walker. And I loved Ground Zeroes too, by the way. But I never played Acid. The PSP I don't like as a control mechanism. It's just not comfortable to me.
But for me, like, Ground Zeroes had good pacing. For that time frame that it had great pacing. If Metal Gear Solid 5 kept that pacing throughout the whole story and included Quiet in the background, you didn't even get to know anything about Quiet or Revolver or why they were there or the previous stuff that happened or caused. Like, none of this stuff was filled in. And that's why, yes, it had incredible fucking gameplay. It was so addicting to play. But once you play through it, it's one of those games where you play through it, you get the story, you're like, what the fuck, and you're done because how mad you were at the story.
Yeah, it's weird too. When you look at, okay, 2 points. There's the biggest example of the problem with the storytelling in Metal Gear Solid 5 is when you play 50 hours and you get to the ending, the real ending, the reveal that I kind of had spoiled for me, but was still pretty cool. You unlock about an hour's worth of audio logs, which are super interesting, and that is the entire problem. There are audio logs out the ass in this game, and they're all really good and for the most part actually relevant to the story. And it's so good, but it's just shoved off to the side. And then you look at Metal Gear Solid 4, which a lot of people complained about, and it's just a movie. Lately, the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking about it. It's like, I want to play through Metal Gear Solid 4 again because I really enjoy his storytelling style and how he sets everything up and the characters. And I don't mind these long cutscenes. It's like, it's a 30-minute cutscene. Sure, I'm down. Let's do it. Like, I want to see the story. The gameplay is almost secondary. And while like you said, like the gameplay is superb in Metal Gear Solid 5, it doesn't need to be a Metal Gear game at all. It doesn't need to be that. And
I 100% agree.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, it's great that it is him and it's Big Boss. Well, it's great that it is Big Boss, wink, but it doesn't need to be him at all. It doesn't need to have Revolver as much as a fan favorite. Like, he's there to be fan favorite man. Like, that's cool, but
okay, my question to you is, looking at it from a series veteran point of view, playing through all the Metal Gear games, if you look through it and actually play Metal Gear Solid 5, do any of the characters like Ocelot or Snake or Big Boss or Kaz actually really seem like they're that character from the previous games?
Charlie, tell me if there is sound. But yeah, I think Yui might be the one that's most different. That's the weirdest one to say. Yeah, they are weird. It's tough to say because the last experience I'd have with Revolver was Liquid Ocelot, so I can't really remember exactly how that all went down. But yeah, that is a problem. There's a problem with Big Boss. There's a problem with all of that. I can hear you now. Well, we'll have to, when we're testing audio, because I can have people, apparently now, we can have people call in on the thing. I don't know. I think that's not as big of a problem to me. I mean, this is a time period where we didn't know these characters. This is the 80s. We knew Revolver in the 60s and in the 2000s. You know, like, whatever. It's suspension of disbelief. You're making a story that you, as a creator, for 20 something plus years you've been making. You're going to change, your writing's going to change, these characters are going to change. I'm fine with that. You can see that on TV shows if you watch like The Office, which is a stupid example, but how like Jim or Dwight are in season 1 versus season 85 or whatever they went to. You know, people change, and people change in real life too. So it's not like, well, they're so different. They're different. Just that's the least of its problems, really. But let me know. I need to know if you can hear Mr. Zombie's audio. We'll have to see. Hopefully they release the Last of Us 2 will happen. But not yet. The Last of Us 2, I'll make a prediction. Let's look at a calendar here. Last of Us 2.
I'm going to say it'll be revealed in July next year.
You say revealed July? I could see that. Let me know, Charlie, if you can hear Zombie on the other thing. Audio test day today. Let's see. It'll be revealed. I could agree with that. Revealed next year, maybe. It's either revealed next year or the year after for sure. At some point in the next year and a half, we'll know. I would say it gets released 2019 fall or 2020 springy. I could see 2020 springy. It's years away. It's years away. Since they combined their studios, they don't have 2 studios anymore working on 2 different things at the same time. And they haven't even done the DLC for 4. Yeah, it's years away.
Oh yeah, definitely the Last of Us 2 is definitely years away. However, hinting at like the stuff from Uncharted, people have done all sorts of research to find out what that pregnant chick was and who she was and how that has to do with the story, because that was actually unveiled in Uncharted 4, which is why I think Naughty Dog is kind of hinting that they're making The Last of Us 2, which to me gives me suspicion to think it's either going to be next year or the year after. Nothing further that they're going to reveal Last of Us 2.
Yeah, no, that makes sense for the reveal and all that, but the game is just... I know Uncharted 4 had a little bit of a rocky thing, you know, development for... What was it, delayed a good year maybe out from when they wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... And that took forever, and it's an incredible game. I'm not even a big fan of Uncharted. I think 1 through 3 are fine. They're good. They're really good at parts and really frustrating at parts. But 4, I loved it. And part of the reason we go back to Fallout is that it had the respect for you as a player. I want the story part, now I want the action part. Like, it had it's sectioned off its food like a crazy person. But that worked really well for it. And The Last of Us, and think about the dev cycle for 4. The Last of Us is going to need at least that. They probably pre-pro for it. If it's revealed next year, yeah, we're going to see a teaser thing. We're going to see, like seeing what we saw for Days Gone, we will not see as much for The Last of Us 2 next year. I don't believe it.
I think we'll see a title, and that's pretty much it. Like a title, some talking background, yada yada, boom, done.
That's pretty much exactly what they did for Uncharted 4 as well, with the whole dark Drake in the forest, and then it's like
the water. Yeah, gotcha. That's personally what I think. What do you think about Days Gone, man?
I like it. It was funny too, because they first showed Days Gone, and then they end their press conference with Days Gone again, and for a good couple of minutes, I'm like, they're just gonna say this is The Last of Us 2. Aren't they? Like, this is totally, they're just going to reveal, oh, no, just kidding. It's The Last of Us 2. Which wouldn't, that would have been incredible, though. Like, think of that, how incredible that would have been. Now, obviously, they probably wouldn't have given that to Ben to do, but that would have been awesome. I think the game looks fun. It looks good. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'm still not convinced on, like, Horizon. I'm convinced it'll be good, but, like, super good. I don't know. I'm still hesitant on that, so... My phone's going off over there. It remains to be seen.
Right. So I'm kind of a fan of like the whole like War Z premise, like the way you have zombies stack on each other, and how it's like a race to the end, and how the guy gets like in the PS4 demo, how he basically kicks off the guy and he freaking gets eaten by a bunch of zombies, and they're just like freaking piling up like the War Z type stuff, building walls with each other. And it's like, I wonder how that in particular is going to factor into gameplay. Like, are you going to strategically be able to lure a zombie onto a bridge to make it fall to where all the other zombies go? Like, that is something that is going to be really crucial to Days Gone, and to make it better is strategic use of the mass of zombies.
Yeah, real quickly, yes, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. This is my Harry Potter shirt. But yeah, so with Days Gone, I think they showed behind closed doors at E3 and they kind of mentioned this, where that section they showed in the demo, you could go there during the day and set up traps, kind of what you're saying. And I love that idea. One of my biggest, speaking about BioShock, my biggest problems with BioShock 1 was that I would have liked the idea of an open, not necessarily open world, but where I could set traps more easily. And like in BioShock 2, where you're defending these parts against the big sisters, I love those parts because you're setting off mines and you're putting all these tripwires and you're preparing. That was incredible. I like that. I like defending it's the same idea as like the Horde mode in Gears or something. But that's what Days Gone kind of is. But when you make it an open world game where you get on your little motorcycle and you putt away, how is that going to work in the grand scheme of things? And a lot of problems with previews or with PR is that they'll say like, yeah, you can do this. Yeah, you can do this. And I'm like, yeah, sure you could, but is it going to be beneficial to the player to really do that? Is it better for me to just ride on my motorcycle and leave, or just wait for it to become day and do the mission? Like, it remains to be seen exactly. And especially after No Man's Sky, I think people learn their lesson. Don't believe everything you hear, and put your dreams back in your hat. Really.
Right. I actually bought No Man's Sky day one, and I was just really excited to get into the world. And the funny thing is, after about 5 hours of play, I'm like, yeah, this is boring.
See, that's funny too. I was super high. Obviously, when the trailer came out in the game's VGAs or whatever it was that year, it was like a weird year for it. It was awesome. It was a super impressive trailer, and I'm hyped for it. But then 3 years go by, and you finally play the game, and I wasn't paying super close attention until a couple weeks before it came out. I really enjoy the game. I played maybe close to 30 hours of it. I rather like it. It's super simple and kind of dumb, and you're just running around doing your own thing. And yeah, I turn on a podcast and I just float around and collect gold. Like, I knew what it was. I knew that it wasn't going to be this MMO. I don't know why people thought, oh, we're going to be able to fly ships together. Like, how? They've never shown. Like, wouldn't they show that? Like, what?
No, exactly.
It's so weird. People's minds really, really like just shot to the moon. There's actually a really good discussion with. It wasn't even with any of the devs. It was with Danny O'Dwyer from. Did he leave GameSpot? I don't know. But with him and Colin Moriarty from Kind of Funny, I think it actually is a Patreon exclusive. So. Patreon, but they talked about No Man's Sky and about Sean Murray and how he did the game, and the way he kind of answers questions. People are giving a lot of shit for it, but he talked earlier and said the way he wants to market the game is to have that mystery of like, I don't know, can you? What happens when you do this? I don't know, but people kept asking him questions so many times that it started to kind of spiral out of control with the message of just it being a mystery and not having this grand mystery behind it, but just surprises when you play is more of what he wanted and what they wanted as a team.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, not once did Sean Murray ever mention that this was a multiplayer game. He said it's strictly single player. If you meet somebody, he'd be like, oh my god, how the fuck?
Yeah, that's the thing. People were saying like, he said multiplayer's in it. And I'm like, what he said was, that's extremely rare. I'd be surprised. It's like, that's not really an answer.
Exactly. Like the fact that on day one, 2 players actually got on the same planet with each other at the same exact time, at the same exact location, and didn't see each other basically proves that theory.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And it's part of those things, like there's that big long Reddit post about No Man's Sky, and like these are all the missing features that were promised and whatever. And I'm like, I don't know, just chill the fuck out. Half of these things that are missing aren't that incredible. Like the one thing on that list was like, oh, desert planets would be cool. Like, okay, that'd be cool. Like there's tons of things that would be cool. And I did a thing on this show again about No Man's Sky and about pre-release footage. Like you can go back and watch the first trailer for BioShock Infinite. It's completely different. You can go when Wind Waker was first revealed. It was at Space World and it was shown with a normal adult Link fighting in normal canon. Like that was how it was first billed as. You look at even Breath of the Wild was first shown as this crazy weird game on the Wii U, and now it's completely different. Like, of course things are going to change. It's crazy to think they're not going to change.
Right, for all we know, Last of Us will get revealed and be like, oh, never mind, releasing it for PlayStation 5.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, with the way Pro and then with backwards compatibility, it probably will be on the 5, you know? Like, yeah, both of them. It's just a PlayStation game you buy and then it plays on both. Who knows? But it could just be something like that. There's also, if you go back and watch the first trailer for, or not the first trailer, but some of the early gameplay for Mass Effect 1, and you could take control of your other squad mates, and you could like order them around and do things. Like none of this is in the game, but no one seems to care or remember. Like this happens with every game. Just chill out and take it as what it is, which is PR and hopes and dreams. And now not everyone should be a Peter Molyneux. But, and you know, that's the extreme. That's the, you're going to watch this tree grow for 50 years. Like, all right, weirdo. But you should temper your expectations.
Right.
They're trying to sell you stuff.
So, speaking of like recent stuff you played Nuka-World. I was actually busy playing Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the previous one. I haven't picked this up yet. I'm going to probably pick it up on a Steam sale or something. Money is tight this year, so I can't just spend random things on games. But I do want to play it, and it does look really good, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I like those games a lot. I'm a bit disappointed about what people are saying about the story. There was one tweet I saw, was like, I got to what I thought was going to be the first boss or something, and then the game ended, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah. There's only one boss. The gameplay was very similar to the first one. Had a lot more tweaks to it. The newer abilities were pretty fucking cool to mess around with. Honestly, it felt more like an advanced like Dishonored, if that makes any sense. Like more stealthy than action based. Well, the first one you could take a bunch of hits and stuff like that, and you'd be okay. And this one, you get down pretty quickly if you're in battle. So it basically amps up either you're fully armored to go into battle, or you're taking cover, or you're stealthy. And the gadgets themselves are really cool to use. I got done with the story about 15 hours in. I felt the same way. I was like, that's it. But as far as like the story goes, yes, it fell a bit short, but the gameplay is just as addicting as it was in the first one. Honestly, the side quests too are really worth the pickup in itself.
Okay, yeah, I was planning on picking it up for like $30 or something.
Right.
Yeah, it seems definitely worth it. Same with like Dishonored too, which I don't think shows very well at conferences, especially with how I play not getting seen. They're like, look at this thing you could do. I'm like, you could say any of these moves you can do are new because I have never used them. I'm just blinking around. But yeah, that's another game I want to get. That's $30, perfect. You can get that. This end of the year, I'm not super interested in a lot of games, except for like Dead Rising 4. I'm a big Dead Rising fan, so that's the only one.
Dead Rising all day, buddy.
Yeah. I loved 3. I've loved every single one of them. They're just dumb fun. That's exactly what I want from a zombie game. Just dumb fun. Get to make all this crazy shit, run them over with cars. Great.
Yeah, Dead Rising, the first Dead Rising, really got it right. That's actually the actual sole reason I picked up an Xbox 360 over a PS3 is because it had Dead Rising for it.
Yeah, I remember that's not why I bought my Xbox. I bought my 360 because of Gears of War. But yeah, no, Dead Rising 1, people like complain about it with the time mechanic. Like, man, that time mechanic is what made it though. And I understand getting rid of it, and it is gone in 4, but it's that was so cool. Like, you'd have to make these tough decisions. I think it was a little too tough to make these decisions sometimes, but
the game was fucking hard back in the day.
oh yeah, that game was not that's the one thing. They did make the mechanics better over the years, to where it's not just like you're fumbling around with a sword, but like, oh, I got 6 cans of orange juice and a samurai sword. You're like, all right, just chill out. So
yeah, let me go face these 4 psychos with a mounted machine gun.
Oh yeah, and that was the thing they fixed too, is the psychos they made easier to fight in 2. And in 3, the psychos weren't as interesting, but at least they were battles that made sense.
Right.
Yeah. No,
like,
those games are great.
There was a little bit more comedy in 3 with the psychos than there were in 2 and 1.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of changed over the years, but it still has that core. And with Frank West back, like, it's, and the pictures, taking pictures of it, there's just nothing else like it, really.
Comedy is back for sure. Like, the way he's taking selfies with zombies, freaking putting on like a power suit armor.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that.
I think I'm really excited for I'm getting my girlfriend into gaming. I'm going to be picking up the remastery of Dead Rising 2 and 1 and Off the Record.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what they've done as far as like a reskin for the PlayStation 4 for Dead Rising and how much better it's going to be.
I mean, I'm curious about that because Dead Rising 1 was never... I mean, Dead Rising 2 was on PS3 and on PC and all that, but Dead Rising 1 was just 360, so it'd be interesting to see what they do. But with like 2 and Off the Record, they're just going to be straight up PC ports, which is going to look fine. You know, the game's a little old, but it's going to run better, and it's going to be what you want. It's going to be what you want. It's just Dead Rising, I mean.
Right, exactly.
That's all you need.
So, what are you hoping they add the support of in 4 more than anything?
You know, that's a tough question, but playing Battlefield 1, one of the more interesting things about it was all the destructibility of buildings and stuff. And I'd like to imagine, in kind of like the reveal for Crackdown, which I fucking love Crackdown, with the destruction in that, if you could have indoor areas too, where you're outside looking in and you can go into the areas and you're blowing up a building, something like Mercenaries almost, I guess, too. Something along that would be super compelling. Other than that, just make Psychos more bizarre and interesting fights. Maybe tone up the gameplay. The gameplay could still use a little tightening up. Make it feel more like a Bayonetta, but not as stylish, I guess, because it's Frank West. But more like that, more like a Devil May Cry sort of thing, and that's it. You're done. That's all you need to do.
Dude, so out of all the Dead Risings, what was your favorite story?
That's interesting. I never played Off the Record, so that's off the record for this. I think I do like 2s with like finding the bee. Well, they all have the bee, don't they? I liked that. I think it's got to be 1 simply because it has like a bunch of false endings where you're like, I gotta get out, and then like, oh no, now there's the military's here. Like, this is, what the fuck's happening? I love that aspect of it. It's like I'm still surviving. Like, oh shit, I got to survive more here, and you kept finding more areas of the mall. It felt very well paced in that respect, and not necessarily in a story way, but in like an environmental story way, I guess. Yeah, I guess I pick 1. It's tough to beat 1. It came out at a great time too, for gaming, when games weren't as, release as they are now. Yeah.
I gotta say, I think 3 was possibly my favorite story, to be honest, because like in the end, like, you get to see like all these old school characters and shit like that, and you're like, oh my god, it's basically a homage to itself. And I'm really hoping that Dead Rising 4 brings that kind of homage back, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's tough. I barely remember 3, even though it's the most recent one. Like, as far as the plot goes. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you. It was weak, but it was fine. Like, it doesn't need to be a big... It's not The Last of Us. It doesn't need to be a big story thing. So it's fine the way it is. I mean, with Frank and it being 10 years later, it does seem like they're putting in a lot of plot, a lot of at least backstory, at least history, and there should be some payoff to something with it. And I like it's the return to a mall. Malls are the best. My phone beeps and beeps over there. Oh, now this is the longest show. You've officially done it. This is the longest show. Broke the record, which by like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. Usually, yeah, about 2 hours is how I want the show. It's been 2 hours almost. But it's a good discussion about all these things. I mean, it's a big week for gaming.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like the Scorpio and the PS4 Pro, and what do you think, man? Do you think that PlayStation is going to have an answer to the Scorpio by the time Microsoft releases it?
Oh God, no. Oh God, no. No. They're going to release Scorpio next fall. That's what they're saying. There's no reason for them to have said that now and not meet that. I fully expect it to come out next year. People are kind of speculating that you could have a PlayStation 5, let's just call it, announced maybe not next year, but the year after, and then release in the year following, so in another 3 years from now. I don't know if you can, even in terms of R&D, make a Scorpio-powered console and have it out in a year. Like, you just blew your entire load on Slim, VR, Pro. You're not gonna... Where's this money that you're just, like, inventing, and you're gonna do another one? Doesn't make sense. They messed up. They jumped the gun is what they did.
Exactly. That's personally why I think that Microsoft is really going to have the edge, and when Scorpio comes out, it might be the end.
It's not the end. I mean, it's not like the end, but Sony's really just not doing great. Yeah. It's. I was thinking about it earlier. It's as though with this generation they were having a little foot race, and at the beginning of the foot race, Microsoft forgot to put its shoes on, and so it was like fumbling around, and then Sony gets a lap around, and then Microsoft's like, oh shit, I got turbo boots with the Scorpio, and Sony just trips on its face. Like, it's this horrible, weird shit going on. And you look back at how they launched the Xbox One with this whole, it's going to be always online, and people didn't like that, and blah, blah, blah. That whole shit, which really hurt them, and Sony just said games, and everyone liked that, obviously. And then now this polar shift of, no, Scorpio is great, that's what we want, and this is, do we want this? I don't know. It's 3 years, is that too soon? 4 years is longer, and it's so much better too. Like, all right, I'll just wait. I don't have a 4K TV. Like, it's this weird shift that could potentially happen. It could swing the other way. It also has a lot of implications for mid-cycle stuff, like PS4.5s, or even more than 2 between entries. Or if there are even entries, if you could just do the iPhone model now at a certain point. It could mean a lot of things. It really all hinges on PlayStation Pro. Like, it starts then, see how that response is. Once we get to Scorpio, or once we're 6 months out from Scorpio, we'll know. We'll know what this all means and what it's going to be for the future. But at this point, we don't really know. We still have VR in the mix and what that could possibly screw with things. I personally still think VR is a gimmick largely. But I haven't played around with it too much. Who knows? It just remains to be seen. It's too early to call a lot of that reliably.
I think even if I could virtually be thrusted into a world I would be safer with a controller in my hand. It's just the way it's been. It's the way it's always been. It feels more of like a gimmick to me as well. It's more like when Rock Band came out, it was like the craze. It was like the freaking craziness, right? Like you could play guitar, you could sing, drum, and for that exact reason, I feel like it's going to be the same thing with like the way it was with the Kinect. Is they're going to have a few VR games? Yes. It's going to be a blaze? Yes. Is it going to die? Most certainly to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna die. I think the problem with VR is there's a lot of problems, but I think the idea of everything else but gaming is much more interesting to me. The idea of downloading some kind of thing that's like a world travel simulator, so then you can just pop into like Tokyo and you're there and you can look around. It's like a live feed, or now you're in Paris. Like you can just blink across the world. That's incredible. That is something revolutionary and worthy of this hype. But being able to look around in a spaceship, like I don't know, and how do I want to do that for hours at a time? Like I don't play games for 10 minutes. I play games for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You know, like I'm not gonna be looking around. I don't want to look around, and then you're limited with the controls because, like you said, a lot of them are the motion controls and stuff too, which is fine. But everyone shits all over the Wii. That's gimmicky motion. And I'm like, you just put the gimmicky motion in your VR, and now it's not a gimmick. Like I don't buy that at all. There's nothing proved here. People like they did that PSX announcement, like, look at the zombie crazy taxi. I'm like, you're gonna play that game for 5 minutes. You're never gonna play that game again. Like it's cool shit to show your friends when they come over, and then you put it away and you play an actual game for adults. Like it's so stupid.
Right.
I don't. I mean, it could be cool. I think an idea of using it as like an enhancement for games could be interesting. This was when Fallout 4 had just come out, but I was thinking about when you go into that guy's memories, if you put on the headset and now you're in the memories and you're just walking around doing like, and then you take it off when you're done. And like something along those lines is much more interesting to me because it's like this bite-sized piece that's additive as opposed to an experience that is built solely on VR and must exist and work in that space fully. That it limits itself and isn't as interesting. The whole idea of VR too, a lot of these games, you blink around. You don't move. You blink around to different places and then do your movement. I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like, I don't know about that. Sounds real bad.
Right.
I don't get it.
You're thinking that what would be more innovative is to basically use VR as like a smart, the way smart glass function was used with Dead Rising 3 to call in airstrikes. Whereas in specific reasons like calling down a mech in Titanfall, you put your VR headset on and then you freaking battle with your freaking mech and then you take it off and you go back to human, like that kind of gimmicky.
I mean, sure. I don't know if that's more innovative or even that's a gimmick too. I mean, but that's the thing with a gimmick. A gimmick is only a gimmick until it becomes like Rumble is a gimmick, but it's in every game controller. So it's not a gimmick anymore. Like it is a thing. The second analog stick could have been a gimmick. So yeah, it could be a gimmick, but it could end up being a cool thing. And I think adding into games you already have would be beneficial because this is going to launch with some interesting stuff, but it's not an experience. There's nothing meaty to get your claws into. And that's what I want. You know, I want my Dead Rising, I want my Deus Ex, I want my Fallout, I want my Metal Gear, I want all this stuff. And there's nothing even remotely close. Not even like a downloadable indie thing that's like a 10-hour experience. There's nothing. There is nothing like that. There's that weird shooter game that could be good, maybe, but it's like, I don't trust it. Especially with how Sony did Move. Why would I trust you?
Right. Because the move is coming back to the PlayStation VR, which is already a big mistake.
I mean, I want it to be successful so I can see its next form. This is very much a early adopter thing of like, yeah, you have fun over there, and in 5 years or in 3 years or whatever, I'll play it with the PSVR 2 or 3, and it'll be great. And then that's when I'll get into it, because at this point you're buying into hopes and dreams and promises, And as we said earlier, that is not what you should buy into ever.
Right. So my thing personally is that like the PlayStation VR almost feels like it's in like test stages, and they're releasing it to the public as like an alpha, basically.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say the same thing about Oculus or Vive too. It's
exactly
this is what it is, and it's cool, and there are people who love it and think it's great. I just don't. I mean, I messed around with a little bit of a Google Glass because it was like $10. Like, I'll try this, and it's cool. Like, oh, I'm in this place. It's cool. There's some Star Wars stuff you can download. So I'm like, oh, I'm on Tatooine. Like, oh, that's neat. But that's it. Like, oh, that's neat. It's not. I downloaded the demo for literally any game and said like, oh shit, I want to play this game. This is an experience. These are VR experiences. They should be different. They shouldn't be the same games you're playing. But until we get to that point, the option shouldn't be shitty mini games. Until we get to the point where we have immersive, incredible VR experiences, it should be stuff like Resident Evil 7, or like I said, adding little parts into other games you already have. For instance, if you could play Assassin's Creed and just put on the helmet, all the enemies disappear, and now you're just walking around Rome or something.
Oh my god, I would so do that. I would do it in a fucking heartbeat.
Yes, exactly. That is 100% something that makes a lot of sense for that. And so the game you already have, they already have the assets, you have the headset, done. End of line. Like that's it. That's an incredible use for it. Even if you could barely play the game, like you could just shoot arrows. You're like, this is dumb fun. And it adds to your game, then you're done with it, and you go back into your Ezio or whatever the hell. That's what it should. It needs to be that until it can become like a Gone Home place or something. And even Gone Home's 2 hours. So like, I don't. It's tough. It's tough.
So, what do you think they could come up with to make a game that would last to the masses for hours on end? Someone that would like be like, oh, something that would make everyone be like, oh my god, I want a VR headset to play this for 10 hours.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't think there's enough people even saying they want VR at this point. Period. To even get to that point of like, oh, we need to make it all comes down to money, and like you're not going to make any money on this that doesn't have any things on it, but you're not going to get the things because, you know, it's like this whole circle. But what would bring people over? I mean, it's going to have to be something for gamers if you want the gaming side of it to grow. And I mean, barring Half-Life 3, what is a big thing that could get everyone into it? Maybe Blizzard could pull something out of their hat and be like, oh, I really want this. Like, I really want Overwatch in VR. Like, that could be cool. But it'd have to be something new. I don't even know. Like, that's the thing with VR is we've had Oculus and Vive for about 6 months now, and it's been like radio silence almost. It feels like, and then we're gonna get PlayStation VR. This very well could, like you said, it could just die. It could just die and be nothing because there was no fruit on the vine, and you just chopped the tree too soon, which is a weird vine tree.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, there's no games out there. Like, for instance, in the PlayStation conference itself, did you notice they didn't really even touch on VR? And it's releasing in October?
I'm not surprised that they didn't touch on that too much because that conference was for the Slim and the Pro. But you do still have a point because they talked about VR. Here's 2 minutes, if that. Oh, it makes VR games better. All right, yeah, okay, bye. Like, wow, you coulda. You kind of are right. They didn't even really, and they have all those pictures of the Slim and then next to the Pro and all that. Is there VR in that picture? I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you if there's VR in that picture, and that is like a big thing. They've been saying they're treating this like a console launch, and ironically they're releasing 3 consoles then this year. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't trust Sony with peripherals.
I don't think so either. But like, did you notice that like Microsoft is hyping the fuck out of HoloLens?
Yeah, they've been doing that, but that HoloLens is cool. But even that's like
Gimmicky.
it's all gimmicky. This is all a middle step because no, I don't think a lot of people want the dumb helmet on their head. Until we can just have something that taps into your brain and then you're that character in the world and you have different abilities, this is a weird middle step in between where you can't move, but you can look around, but it's not the same. It doesn't look as good. It's not as deep gameplay wise. Like, there's all these compromises, and I don't think being able to look around the world makes it makes up for that, the shortcomings. No.
I don't think so either. So, have you spent much time with Nintendo's handhelds?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So you've spent time with like the new 3DS, 3DS, DS stuff like that.
Yeah. I've played pretty much all of them. Played a game on all of them, probably. Yeah.
So, what do you think about there's not very much information on it, but what do you think about the NX?
Well, the rumors with it being the handheld console hybrid, I think that's smart for them to do. It seems kind of obvious, especially if you watch that 3DS Direct, which was last week, where it's like, oh, we're porting all our Wii U games to 3DS, and then I start thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, Hyrule Warriors did the same thing, and Smash was on both. I'm like, they've been kind of doing this for a while. It seems like gearing up for this idea of larger scale game that shrinks down to portable size, and that's fine. I'm excited for the NX in a way, but at the same time, I feel like I'm going to be able to get the best Zelda experience on the Wii U already. So,
right,
if I don't have to buy anything, I'm super down with that. But I also like the idea, like the Fire Emblem games that came out this year. I love Fire Emblem, but I don't want to play it on my 3DS. If I could buy an HDMI out for my 3DS, I'd play it on my TV, but I can't. So I don't play those games. Like, I'd like to play Animal Crossing on my TV, the way God intended, but I can't. Yeah, I love the GameCube Animal Crossing. I played the shit out of that game. Yeah, I love the idea of, instead of isolating these two groups, like you can't play that Kirby game, it's on Wii U. You can't play that Kirby game, it's on 3DS. Like, no, you can play that game, it's on Nintendo. And if you want to play it on the go, if you want to play it at home, do whatever you want. I'm down with that. I think that's super smart, super good for them. Perfect.
That actually sounds like a really good selling point. That's something that PlayStation and Xbox can definitely learn from. Is like, you have an airplane, you have a flight coming up, take your controller off the freaking thing, you take your game with you through the flight, put a charger in, come back, play it in HD on your TV.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the idea. Hopefully those rumors kind of come out true. I think they have to be doing a show or talking about it here soon. I would imagine a reveal event. I don't think you do the reveal event for NX in October. It's kind of a mess. There's a lot of games coming out. There's VR coming out. We've now cycled through this video like twice. And then, oh shit, the spider. Oh, the spider's still up there. He moved away. And then in November, it doesn't make sense because you're confusing the message. You have the NES Classic coming out too. So that's kind of weird. You got the PlayStation coming out. December doesn't make any sense because it's December. And January doesn't make any sense because no one has any money after the holidays. And then February is like, okay, but then that's like 2 months out. Like, I think you have to do it this month. And that's kind of what rumors are saying to talk about it. As for Microsoft and Sony doing it, they're very clearly going the other direction. Going the power direction ruins the entire handheld idea of it. And
exactly.
I like the Vita, but they're not really doing much with that. But I think that's fine. They can exist in different places, and I think that's smart. That's why it's smart from Nintendo to just be like, we have the handheld market. Vita's kind of gone. Smartphone stuff is separate, and they're even getting into that, so they can kind of carve out their own little niche that they've pretty much already carved out. But do that. Don't compete directly with because you can't and you shouldn't have been. And end of discussion. They're like, that's it. That's all you need to do.
So you're saying that Nintendo would sell better if they were just in a league of their own and let Sony and Microsoft battle it out on a separate battlefield?
Well, that's the Wii is a weird example because it shouldn't have done as well as it did by all accounts. Really, it's lightning in a bottle or whatever phrase you want to say. It's but that was them kind of like, we're doing this over here. Or even with the DS, like, we're making dual screen games. Like, you can't port your game here. You'd have to do some stuff and make a map on the bottom and do some additional things. It's got a touch thing. Like that when that came out, the PSP was the PSP out or almost out? It doesn't matter because it's a completely different thing. A PSP is a handheld PlayStation. Well, literally with the name. But the DS is, we made this Game Boy Advance with 2 screens and one's a touch screen. Like, they've been carving out their own weird area for a while, and they've existed there. Like, the DS sold amazingly well. The 3DS didn't sell as well, but still did very well. And the Wii U basically shows that, yes, people love your software, but that you already have that audience. Like, you're not going to capture more with it. With the handheld audience, you can kind of still just have your own space. You're not competing. Like you said, you're not competing with... You're not getting the ports of Mass Effect 3 2 years later. You're just getting Nintendo games and other third-party stuff that is NX. That this is NX. It's another thing. I think that's smart for them. Besides going third-party, which I don't know. There's a lot of money issues with going third-party. You make more money when you make your own hardware. That's why you wouldn't want to do it.
Right.
Because you make 30% on every game sold or something like that. Because of the licensing thing, just to release someone's game on your console, then you make money on the hardware, and you make, like, there's a lot more money to be made. And Nintendo still has a lot of money. People will, whatever, they still have a lot of money. They're a smart company, even though the Wii U failed by all accounts. Something like, was it like 12 or 14 million Wii U sold? But if you look at it, there's an attach rate of 50% or something for a Mario Kart. Like, that's insane. That is, and that makes it one of the best-selling games in the last 10 years, probably. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. They're not failing or floundering in any sense of the word. They're doing fine. They're just not selling PS4 numbers. Is the difference? Yeah. All right. This is good. I cannot talk to you forever. I have to eventually stop. But this is great. I think this is a good idea for any show.
Man, that's why I'm trying to be innovative and
I think that's smart. Take live call-ins. You can get people talking. I mean, it's pretty easy. Pretty good.
Yeah, man. That's the same thing I do on my channel. So if you I added you on Discord. So if you want to pop in at any point in time, just hit me up on Discord and we'll fucking start up a Twitch and start talking.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. I stream Mario Maker. I mean, it's not the same. But I stream this show here every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. This is the outro now. But on my channel, twitch.tv/BenReacts, I do Mario Maker Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, about 3 hours. It's great. Playing viewer levels is awesome in Mario Maker. It's a super, super fun thing. I'm going to mute you, by the way. You can't be heard on the stream. Or even on my computer. But thanks for hanging out. Merry Christmas. This is now way the longest episode. Way too long. I'll break this up into like 30 parts. Out of control. See you next week. I don't know. Oh, I have an ending thing. Here you go.